Hi, I'm Jeff Barmer from Richard Lloyd Recruitment, and we're here today with Kim Seeling Smith from Ignite Global. Hi Kim.
Hi Jeff.
Today we're talking about why employee turnover is the #1 challenge facing businesses today and how to address this issue. So Kim, I know you maintain employee turnover is the biggest threat facing employers today. Can you tell me more about that?
The critical skills shortage that we're facing through the year 2030 is really diabolical, and there are two reasons for that. Number one is that there's a people deficit. If you look at the data, the growth in the working age population over the last 40 years versus the next 40 years is only about 15%. So we've got a supply and demand issue. There are far fewer people ready to take the place of those who are leaving the workforce. And the other thing at play here is that the skills that we need in our workplaces are changing primarily because of digital disruption. And those two put together, McKinsey says that we're going to have about 85 million jobs for which we can't find suitable candidates globally by the year 2020. And the Australian Bureau of Statistics says that our share here in Australia is about 1.4 million by the year 2025. So we've got to get this right. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to survive the next decade.
That sounds scary and complex, and a very real reason for finance professionals to sit up and take notice. What else should they be aware of?
So following on from what I said about the differences in what we require from our staff, the digital disruption is really changing what we need from our workforce. For instance, when I started as an accountant with KPMG, my first day at work, I was asked to add together a stock take with a 10-key calculator and a tape. Now, that was a long time ago, but not that long ago. New grads would not be asked to do that anymore, but that doesn't mean that we don't need as many new grads as we used to. What we require from both new grads as well as experienced workers in any organization has changed. Instead of requiring them to do the more routine, tactical, and predictable tasks, we're actually now asking them to be more innovative, creative, and strategic. And it requires a different part of our brain, and it requires different competencies or skills from the people that we hire. As a result of that, it actually requires a different way of not only attracting and hiring the right people, but specifically of managing and inspiring them, engaging them, and retaining them. We have to do things differently in order to beat this very real skill shortage that I just talked about.
What advice would you give to companies on the best way to approach this problem?
Interesting. This is a really scary problem, as you said before, and I have spent the last 9 years talking to organizations about this very real skills shortage and these problems that we're facing in the workplace. And a lot of organizations do find this overwhelming, and as a result, they just keep putting it off, and they think, well, I'll get to that, I'll get to that, I'll get to that. And I really think over the last month or so, a couple of months actually, I've come to the conclusion that it is scary, but it doesn't have to be. I'm a KISS principle kind of gal. I like simple solutions, but very practical solutions. And I think if you could only do one thing, what I would say is that you need to look at every interaction that you have with employees through their lens. What is it like as an employee working for your organization? And if you do that, you start to see some low-hanging fruit, some things that you can change or tweak fairly immediately that will not only help you hire better people, but certainly engage and retain them. So I think that that's a simple, practical way of looking at a very real and complex problem. So that's where I would start.
Thanks, Kim.
My pleasure.
If you'd like to find out further information, please contact the team at Richard Lloyd.